Course in Miracles devotes a great deal of attention to what it calls special and holy relationships, which has become a source of complexity and confusion to lots of folks because we have been trained that special relationships are where it's at. Yet the Course says that what we call special is often a ploy of the ego that brings us not release and healing and eternal heaven, but really closer to hell. So let's take a few minutes now to look into what both of these relationships are and how to move from special relationships to holy ones. We have to begin by recognizing that at an early point, we were taught that there's something wrong with us, that we're somehow fundamentally lacking, that if you knew the truth about me, then you wouldn't want me. And so this is a ploy of the ego, of course. This is not Spirit's voice. And so we go about our life attempting to fill ourselves in from external sources to offset our perceived deficit, which is not real at all, but it's a trick of the ego. And the Course tells us that the key way that the ego attempts to do this is by creating a special relationship with usually a person who will fill us in and balance us out and complement us and make us everything that we're not. But these relationships are doomed because they proceed from a false premise, which is that you're somehow flawed or empty. So we go about the world seeking people and things and events and groups that will validate us because we don't believe we are valid. And so let's take the romantic relationship as an example. Now, let's just say for a moment that you can have a special relationship not just with a person, it can be with religion, it can be with a pet, it can be with a philosophy, it can be with a baseball team, it can be with any entity to which you attribute magical powers to fix you, heal you, or save you. But for this moment, we'll talk about romantic relationships. I often refer to that movie line that says, "You complete me," because this setback healing relationship is many, many years. But it does typify the ego's position, where someone can complete you. Now, while that all sounds nice and gooey and lovely and exciting and romantic, there's a hidden time bomb. And that's that if you have the power to complete me, then you also have the power to incomplete me. And in that moment, I have bestowed the power of my happiness to another person, which makes you and the relationship like a yo-yo. They're nice to you and they phone you and they compliment you, you're happy. They're not nice to you, they don't phone you or text you, and they look at another person and you're unhappy. So how vulnerable are we to give our power to a person who can make us happy or unhappy? And the Course say, of course, that no person has that power, that only we have that power, only God has that power, which already lives inside of us. Now, the Course also tells us that beneath every special love relationship actually lurks a special hate relationship. Why? Why would you possibly like, let alone love, someone who has power over your happiness? So this is why people say, well, it's a love-hate relationship. Well, not really, because the love that you called love-hate was not really love. It was special love. It wasn't holy love. This is why there's so much bickering and animosity in relationships, and why the divorce rate is so high, is because we seek a special person to complete us, and then we hate them because they can incomplete us. And so this is why so many people who are idolized get crucified, because the people who crucified them are angry at them for taking away their happiness, when meanwhile the student or the lover gave that person the happiness they didn't deserve. For example, the rock star Selena was murdered by the former president of her fan club. And John Lennon was murdered by a disgruntled fan. This story goes on and on. If you watch the news, you'll see that people who are idolized always get crucified. So this is why it's a good idea never to step into the role of an idol, because the person's going to hang you. It's said that it only takes a short fall for a halo to become a noose. Now that's sobering, isn't it? But it happens to be the way much of the world functions, as you've probably seen. Now let's shift and look at what a holy relationship is. By contrast, a holy relationship does not bring emptiness and lack and need to it, but it brings a sense of wholeness and fulfillment and inner validation and inner contentment. And so we think, by virtue of the ego's rules, that relationships are additive, where I'm one half and I seek someone else who's one half of a different kind, and then the two halves come together, one half plus one half equals one, and then I'll be whole and the other person will be whole. Well, no greater lie has ever been spoken. Relationships are actually multiplicative, which means that I see myself as one half, and then I get together and multiply with somebody else's one half, and one half times one half equals 1/4, which means that in a dysfunctional relationship, you both end up being less by trying to complete each other. In a holy relationship, it works exactly the opposite way. I recognize myself to be whole, and I recognize you to be whole, and when we get together, 1 whole times 1 equals 1. And in this scenario, the one that you created as a result is really an enhanced one. It's a vibrant one. It's a creative one. It's a life supportive one, because you are not coming from need. You're coming from overflow and joy. How can I enjoy you? How can I support you? How can we co-create together? Which is entirely different than the ego's play that says, what can I get from you? And the only purpose of relationship is to enhance each other's lives and make each other greater. In other words, how to fan our mutual flame and lift us so we're more. And so in my relationship with my partner, Dee, we're always asking each other, how can I support you? What can I do for you today? What would make your life nicer today? And if Dee knows that I've been working too much in the office, she'll say, why don't you go to the beach? Go have some fun. Or take a couple of days off and have a personal vacation. And she's willing to take over the house responsibilities for a day or two, because she knows that my light will be expanded by going and renewing myself and writing or being in nature. And this only is going to enhance our relationship. And by the same token, I suggest she go see her family or go meet with friends or do evenings with people she loves, because I know that the more I support her to be her true self, then the more she supports me to be my true self, and our relationship is really enhanced. So the Course also tells us that your relationship with your brother or sister is your savior. And what it means by that, this is enigmatic to lots of people. What it means is that when you can shift your vision from that person being your savior on the ego sense, and you start to see them as a whole, beautiful, loving person, then they save you from the illusions that they were your ego savior. I hope you follow that. The idea being that a relationship is all about shifting vision. It's not about changing the other person. No one has ever succeeded in a relationship by attempting to change another person. On the other hand, relationships in which we accept the other person as they are and value them and seek not to make them different in the least, and enjoy them and celebrate them, and we do the same for ourselves. We say, I don't need to improve myself to become lovable. I am lovable just as I am. I'm attractive just as I am, with my weight, with my age, with my wrinkles, with my history, yada, yada, yada. Those are all ego ploys that make you think that if I can just add this or fix this or change this, I'll be lovable. And the Course says it's not like that at all. It says that you are absolutely whole and lovable and powerful and attractive just as you are. And we all know that when we can drop in to that sense of, I love myself just as I am, then you become so radiantly attractive that you draw someone unto you who recognizes your true beauty instead of the beauty you're trying to gain, the beauty you already own, and you create a relationship based on who you are, not who you wish you were or who you're attempting to become. And so I wish for you all the love your heart desires, and all the love you seek, and all the love you deserve, from inside out, extending to attract all the love you deserve from the outside in. Ultimately, there is no outside. All of healing, all of relationship is an inside job.